What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here's Legitical Response. We cover political news. We keep you up to date and keep you informed with everything that the government does. Now, do you guys remember the other day I was talking about that anti-Semitism bill that Congress was passing where they're going to put anti-Semitism monitors in colleges and all this other stuff? Which, by the way, it passed. What? Yeah, it's illegal. And a lot of people are going through the language of this thing and they're arguing, hey, look, this definition of anti-Semitism means that the Bible is now illegal, right? There's passages in the Bible that actually say that Jews killed Jesus, which they kind of did, right? When you look at it, sure, it was the Romans that physically executed the crucifixion, but the Jews had the chance to exonerate Jesus and take him off of the cross and not kill him. And they chose to kill him anyway. So apparently that's going to be illegal under this bill. And a lot of people, they're arguing back and forth or whatever, but it's all a bunch of BS. This whole thing, the protesters, they're cracking down, by the way. I'm sure you guys have heard arrests all over the damn place of these protesters, right? And we found out that a lot of these protesters weren't even college students. We had some professional protesters. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing until the other day, right? These people that get paid from nonprofit organizations and they just travel around and they go to different protests and protest all kinds of different stuff, right? Like, and they recruit people into their movement, and it's just nuts, right? Like, that's the far left. That's the extreme left infection that takes over these protests and ruins them from everybody. It turns them into riots.
University police issued a dispersal order after dozens of protesters set up that encampment on the university's south lawn. Now, that was issued at around 1 yesterday afternoon. However, protesters, they didn't leave. This prompted local and state agencies to come in and assist university police. 90 people were reportedly arrested. Last week, 57 demonstrators were arrested during protests at UT Austin. Now, the Travis County DA's office says law enforcement lacked probable cause in those cases and dropped the criminal trespassing charges against them. A few of those arrested last week spoke at yesterday's protest, while some Jewish students believe these demonstrations are spreading the wrong message.
While my arrest and my 17 hours in jail were traumatizing, it is nothing compared to the heartbreaking reality that the people of Palestine face.
We've tried to talk to these people. They're the ones who don't want to speak to us. They're not pro-Palestine, they're pro-Hamas. They're anti-Jew and they're anti-American.
Okay, so we pretty much just got confirmation the other day from Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's going to go ahead, go through with the ouster of Mike Johnson, and yay, he's betrayed the Republicans. He's working with the Democrats on this. Sorry. He's working with the Democrats. So, yeah, it's time to get him out of there, right? I'm tired of these Democrats in Republican clothing, if you will, because these people, they don't vote with conservative values. They don't vote to further anything for their constituents, right? They vote to spend in a deficit. They vote to fund foreign wars. They vote for abortion and all that, because that's what that appropriations package did. It pays for certain abortions for certain people, and it's just outright insanity what some of these quote-unquote conservatives are voting for. It's just nuts, y'all. They're not really conservatives, so they're not really Republicans, and we need to get these people out of there. I always talk about this. I try to talk about it on every single video, that we need to look up our congressmen, look up their voting record, and if they voted for these stinking appropriations package, if they're more worried about keeping the federal government running than shut it down to get some honest change, some change for the good, to stop spending in a deficit and stop spending on all these BS earmarks that we have, that you need to go look them up, congress.gov, check their voting record, and not vote for those people again, even if it means voting for the opposition party. Yeah, Yeah, even if it means that, because you might get an honest Democrat put into office that actually wants to be fiscally responsible, because not all Americans are idiots, right? We've got some genuine, honest people out there, and sure, they may be pro-abortion, and they may be pro-transgender, all this other stuff, but at least if they're fiscally responsible, we'll have a country that's doing well, that we can live in, that we can have honest discourse about these issues over, right? Instead of voting to spend in a deficit and vote to destroy this country, voting for open borders and for foreign wars and all this other stuff. It's just nuts. These politicians, they get sucked into the lobbyist money, and their net worth starts rising, and it just ruins everything, because they no longer vote in your interests. They vote in the interest of the lobby, which is bad for the country, because the lobby only cares about themselves, because that's why they're there, to lobby Congress to get their own stuff voted on, right? It's just a bunch of BS, but check this story out, y'all. Hakeem Jeffries isn't speaker yet, but the Democrat may be the most powerful person in Congress. Yeah, they're going there. This story is full of BS. Without wielding the gavel or holding a formal job laid out in the Constitution, Rep. Hakeem Jeffries might very well be the most powerful person in Congress right now. The minority leader of the House Democrats, it was Jeffries who provided the votes needed to keep the government running despite opposition from House Republicans to prevent a federal shutdown. So what they're basically doing there, the corporate press is trying to get you to think that spending in a $1.7 trillion deficit is a good thing by telling you, oh, he kept the government running, y'all, to get this appropriations package pushed through. Right? Spending in a deficit, especially $1.7 trillion, is never a good thing. And that's what House Republicans were so mad about, and why most of the good ones didn't vote for it and were willing to shut down the government, to fix this appropriations, to fix the $1.7 trillion deficit spending. You know, you're going to hear me say that a lot, by the way. The corporate press is trying to push that as a good thing, that your congressman, well, you know, he voted with the party to stay in there, to devalue your dollar, to make your purchasing power go bye-bye. Yeah, that's what they're trying to say is a good thing. Jeffries, who made sure Democrats delivered the tally to send $95 billion foreign aid to Ukraine and other U.S. allies. Once again, now they're trying to tell you that funding a war in a foreign country is a good thing. Yes, and doing it in a deficit, per the previous paragraph, right? Plus what I just laid out. So not only did they vote to keep the government running, y'all, because the government has to run, right? No, yeah, to keep the government running in a deficit. But now we're going to borrow more money to fund a war. Right? Like, you go up to ask anybody, just about anybody, hey, is war a good thing? They'll say no. Well, do you support Ukraine? They'll probably say yes. And why is that? Because those two positions make absolutely no sense. So we got to do a little bit of critical thinking, y'all. And Jeffries, who, with the full force of the House Democrat leadership behind him, decided this week his party would help Speaker Mike Johnson stay on the job rather than be ousted by far-right Republicans led by Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm sorry, but Marjorie Taylor Greene is not far-right. She is somebody who actually cares. She is a member of the Freedom Caucus. And freedom doesn't mean liberty and all this other stuff. No, it doesn't mean that kind of freedom. It means free from the lobby interests, free from any kind of BS going on in Washington. They're there on behalf of their constituents from wherever the hell they are. That's who they're there for. They're not hard right. They're not hard left. They are normal Americans who care about their constituents, who care about this country. That's what they're there for. So call them hard right, call them whatever the hell you want to. See, hard right is supposed to be some sort of an insult, right? But they're not really hard right. They're average, everyday Americans that care about this country. So they're once again, they're trying to make you believe that somebody who is there on behalf of their constituents and votes on behalf of the interests of the American people is a bad person. Blows my mind, y'all. How powerful is Jeffries right now? Said Jeffrey Jenkins, a public policy professor at the University of Southern California, who has written extensively about Congress. That's significant power. The decision by Jeffries and the House Democrat leadership team to lend their votes to stop Johnson's ouster provides a powerful inflection point in what has been a long political season of dysfunction, stalemate, and chaos in Congress. Yeah, because we have a small portion of Republicans who are there on behalf of the constituents that voted them into office. And that's what the American people think about other congressional politicians. So what you see with the House Freedom Caucus and this so-called far right, yeah, that's what the American people think. By declaring enough is enough, that it's time to turn the page on the Republican tumult, the Democratic leader is flexing his power in a very public and timely way, an attempt to show lawmakers and anyone else watching in dismay at broken Congress that there can be an alternative approach to governing. Yeah, you know why Congress is broken? I think I've said it already. It's because of the lobby interest that takes these politicians, takes them out to dinner, and says, hey, look, if you vote for this in this certain way that, goes against the American interests and goes against any normal logic that anybody might have, we might just accidentally lose $3 million in your office. Hey, how about that? And then these politicians go along with it and will vote in the interests of the lobby instead of vote in the interests of you. From the very beginning of this Congress, House Republicans have visited chaos, dysfunction, and extremism on the American people, Jeffries said Wednesday at the Capitol. Jeffries said that the House Republicans, unwilling or unable to get the extreme MAGA Republicans under control, it's going to take a bipartisan coalition and partnership to accomplish that objective. We need more common sense in Washington, D.C., and less chaos. Yeah. You know what the chaos really is? I'll say it once again. It's the actual politicians that are there on behalf of the American people fighting against the politicians that are there on behalf of the lobby interests, y'all. I'm gonna have to keep reminding you guys because this article keeps reminding us that, hey, your politicians are good guys. It's these ultra MAGA people that care about their own constituents. That's the problem, y'all. All you gotta do is think about some of this stuff. In the House, the minority leader is often seen as the speaker in waiting, the highest ranking official of the party that's out of power, biding their time in hopes of regaining the majority, and with it, the speaker's gavel in the next election. Elected by their own party, it's a job without much formal underpinning. But in Jeffries' case, the minority leader position has come with enormous power, filling the political void left by the actual speaker, Johnson, who commands a fragile, thread-thin Republican majority and is constantly under threat from far-right provocateurs that the GOP speaker cannot fully control. Once again, you know why the speaker can't fully control them? It's because they are there on the interests of the American people, and they are tired of politicians lying to the American people, voting in the interests of somebody else and not in the interests of America. He's operating as a shadow speaker on all the important votes, said Pramila Jayapal, chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. While Johnson still marshals the powerful tools of the Speaker's office, a job outlined in the Constitution and second in line of succession to the presidency, that's not true. He's third in line because you got the president. Maybe they meant presidency as the president and vice president, which is a weird way to put it because, if Joe Biden goes out, then Kamala Harris is up next. And if somehow they both get out of there, then it would be Mike Johnson. So he's third in line. But whatever, if they want to confuse it, that's weird why they would confuse it that way. The Republican-led House has churned through a tumultuous session of infighting and upheaval that has left their goals and priorities stalled out. In a fit of displeasure, just months into their majority, far-right Republicans ousted the previous speaker, the now-retired Rep. Kevin McCarthy, last fall in a never-before-seen act of party revolt. That's not true either. They have ousted a Speaker of the House before. It was a long time ago. Once again, the corporate press lying to everybody, trying to push a certain narrative. He declined to specifically ask the Democrats for help. Yeah, Johnson hasn't either. Johnson faces the same threat of removal, but Jeffries sees in Johnson a more honest broker and potential partner he is willing to at least temporarily prop up, even though Johnson too has not overtly asked for any assistance from across the aisle. A vote on Green's motion to vacate the Speaker is expected next week. As Johnson sidles up to Donald Trump, really? Receiving the presumed Republican presidential nominee's nod of support, it is Jeffries who holds what Democratic Rep. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker Emirata, has referred to as the currency of the realm, votes. Votes that are required in the House to get any agenda over the finish line, which is pretty much pointless. Pelosi said in an interview that Jeffries, as the minority leader, has always had leverage because of the slim House majority, but it's a question of showing him that he's willing to use it, she said. Jeffries has been masterful, she said, at securing Democratic priorities, notably humanitarian assistance in the foreign aid package that Republicans initially opposed. Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry, but when you look at Congress, you look at the Democratic Party, right? And they're all together, they're all marching in lockstep. Is that generally a good thing? Let me know down in the comments. Genuine question. Is that generally a good thing? To have everybody thinking the exact same thing, voting the exact same way on every single piece of legislation? No, I don't think that's a very good thing myself. Because, people have different opinions and people have different worldviews and religious views and all this other stuff. So having everybody march in lockstep with everybody else, that seems a little bit suspicious to me. Like, I wonder what's really going on here. Are they voting in the interest of somebody else, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. But this stuff blows my mind. The rest of that story was just a sucking up to Hakeem Jeffries, if you will. But I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Do y'all think Democrats are actually going to help out Mike Johnson and keep him from being ousted? Because obviously they have to, right? Because they always march in lockstep with each other. And Johnson is now a Democrat because of everything he's been doing has been just Democrat priorities, Democrat policy, and all this other stuff. I mean, passing FISA, passing, $1.7 trillion in deficit spending, passing the damn funding of foreign war, all this BS, allowing the Biden White House to invade Gaza, have an invasion on our southern border. It's just outright nuts if you ask me, but I want y'all to let me know what y'all think down in the comment section. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.